1, 2.
The airmen learned a lot in 8.5 weeks of basic training, just like this new group of trainees. Something as simple as learning to fold socks correctly, paying attention to detail, becomes a big deal on the job. Why?
Because, sir, we deal with not only other people's lives, but millions and billions of dollars worth of Air Force equipment.
Personal safety is also being stressed. In the past year, 4 military training instructors, or MTIs, have been charged with inappropriate sexual contact with trainees. Several other instructors have been removed from duty because of problems.
Now, do we stop practicing? No, sir.
Still, one instructor considers the program strict, with the majority of MTIs never stepping out of line.
My background's a cop, so for me, being emotional about certain things, I'm passionate about training instructors. I'm passionate about training airmen.
Press to your right.
With all the scrutiny, there are now 40 new comment boxes near dorms for trainees to discreetly report any concerns about harassment or misconduct. And the commander of basic training isn't worried about what a new investigation could uncover.
I am absolutely not scared at all if we uncover other MTI discipline issues. It has to be addressed.
Colonel Palmer started what's called the Neighborhood Watch, where trainees look out for one another. It's part of the Air Force code of having a wingman, someone always watching your back. At JBSA Lackland, Darlene Dorsey, News 4 WOAI.
It's supposed to be a beautiful day. It's been raining since we arrived, pretty much.
So anytime you have a big wall like
the storm is over. At Mission San Jose, tourists are once again walking in the footsteps of history.
There's a great deal of American heritage here, and we like to see that.
As much as they'd like to consider the government shutdown ancient history, it's been the uninvited guest on so many vacations.
Well, our bus driver, when we came and he saw the gate down there closed, he said, I'm not sure this is really going to be what they told us, open, and we all kind of went, oh.
Luckily, this group was just early.
These are active Catholic churches.
But when you consider how many parks they've only seen from the outside.
It's a serious bummer when you think that we drove all the way across the country.
When you've driven 3,000 miles and gone through several hundred gallons of fuel and planned for 10 years.
That's money and time they'll never get back. The bills are also piling up for federal workers like park rangers. Congress agreed to give them back pay.
But do you think the people who worked the gift shops were getting paid? Do you think the people who run the coffee shops got paid or wait on tables? None of them got paid. And those are the people who can least afford it.
And waiting in the wings, another showdown. Will it lead to a shutdown too? It makes you wonder if history will repeat itself.
Some fire experts will tell you sometimes a fire is so intense, there's not much you can do to put it out. Sometimes the only thing you can do is let it run its course. That could be exactly what's going on with the fire department's overtime. The blaze has been burning for so long, it's out of control and no one knows how to stop it. But when you're talking about potential fraud, you're talking about taxpayer dollars, and not everyone is willing to sit back and watch. An anonymous email was sent to San Antonio's Office of Municipal Integrity. This person was worried an EMS captain was committing payroll fraud after earning more than $100,000 in overtime in 2010. City investigators couldn't verify that original tip, but they did uncover 5 shift commanders had racked up nearly $400,000 in overtime in just 1 year. These spreadsheets and charts show a pattern where employees are calling in on their normal work days, but then working on their off days and getting paid double time. Here's how it works. If you or I take a sick day, we usually get 8 hours of leave. That's it. But if you're an EMS captain, things work a little differently. In March of 2010, one captain claimed some sort of special pay 12 out of 31 days. He took 2 sick days, 3 vacation days, and got paid more than $10,000 in overtime.
If they were out on a scheduled vacation leave and we needed to fill a position, that those individuals are called back from their scheduled vacation.
Eric Walsh oversees the fire department's budget. He says if someone is called in when they're scheduled to be on vacation, they get to claim the vacation time and the overtime. But when I showed him the pattern we uncovered, he looked surprised.
So for example, and I'll kind of just point it out here. So for example, this guy right here
in small writing, sorry, took a sick leave day, then overtime 24 hours, then another sick leave day, then overtime special, then overtime, and then another overtime.
Yeah, I think, I think if
And
if you give us an opportunity to kind of sit down with the fire department and see what the answer to that is, because I certainly don't know at this time.
And in fact, Walsh sits on an oversight committee that is supposed to review all the investigations that come out of the Office of Municipal Integrity. But he admits he didn't review this entire investigation, even though it's been available to him for months.
You were on that committee. Are you still on that committee?
I'm still on that committee, yes.
Had you seen that before?
No, not this sheet.
You're not concerned with that at all?
Well, certainly, the patterns you're describing, I'd like to have an opportunity to check with the fire department and see if there's or the Municipal Integrity Office.
But we had already spoken with Fire Chief Charles Hood about the overtime issues.
The majority of the people that were in these positions were on special projects with the computer-aided dispatch system. They weren't out driving fire trucks or fighting fires or working as paramedics.
He says the men who were investigated are veterans of the fire department. Some have been serving San Antonio for more than 20 years. They've put their time in and have done the grunt work. The chief believes they've done nothing wrong.
Over the last year, two of those people one had a stroke and one had another medical emergency where they were off for almost a year. So again, a lot of overtime was being taken by those remaining captains, and it was such a specialized position that it was very difficult for us to move somebody else up in there.
Since this investigation was released, the city has changed the way they monitor overtime. Now departments are getting monthly reports that show them where everything stands. And they're training more employees to step into these specialized roles when someone is out, so the overtime can be evenly spread.
These are things that have happened over the course of a few years, whether it's a payroll system or whether it were people that were missing that we were unable to replace. But if you come back next year and you look at these numbers will be improved.